Hi students, good afternoon. I welcome you all for biology video class. In previous video, we have discussed about CNS, PNS as well as structure of neuron and next generation and the conduction of nerve impulse, the transmission of impulse from one neuron to another neuron. That all the things we have seen in last video. Once again I want to recall that conduction and generation of impulse, you know how it is generated, how it is transmitted in the neuron, because first the membrane is polarized, the outside of the membrane of neuron is positively charged, inside it is negatively charged, so it is called it as polarized membrane. Then if stimulus applied on particular part, that means depolarization is happened. In the depolarization, the positively charged particles which is getting inside of the neuron, the negative particles which is moving outside. Then it is moved one part of the neuron to another part, that means A part to B part. Then the depolarization moved to where? B part. The A is repolarized. So like that it has happened in the throat neuron part. Then finally the information, the impulse which is moving one neuron to another neuron. In between the two neurons we have synapse. In the synapse we have two types, electrical synapse, chemical synapse. In the electrical synapse the messages passes very faster than the chemical synapse, because the synapse gap is very less in the electrical synapse. So the message, the impulse pass in the neuron fully electrical way. Here there is no change of electrical into chemical, chemical into electrical. Here it is not happen in the electrical synapse. Okay, throughout the neuron and next to neuron also it is moved as a electrical. But in the chemical synapse, the electrical impulse which is converted as a chemical impulse in the what? Axon terminal. That we have synaptic vesicles, because in the last video I have explained that last video is part 3 I think so. So in part 3 I have explained the transmission of impulse from one neuron to another neuron. In that I told that synaptic vesicles which consist neurotransmitters, the action potential which is stimulate the synaptic vesicles, then the synaptic vesicles which release the neurotransmitter. So now the neurotransmitter is a impulse, that means that carry the information. Then it is crossing over the synaptic cleft, because the synapse that we have presynaptic membrane, postsynaptic membrane, in between that synaptic cleft is there. So through the synaptic cleft it is moving, then it is reached to receptors which will bind the neurotransmitters, then action potential started in the next neuron. Then what happened? Polarization convert as a depolarization, then repolarization, like that it is moving. So now we know what is CNS, what is PNS, structure of neuron we know. And next CNS, PNS, that means central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, I told already, right? So then structure of neuron we know, then how the conduction of impulse we know. Next we are going to see about central nervous system in detail. The central nervous system which consists you know that brain and next spinal cord. Then brain stem also present. I will explain that what it is. So mainly brain and spinal cord, because brain stem is present in the brain. Okay, so right. So this is part 4. This is part 4. Okay. Central nervous system. Central nervous system. In central nervous system, main part is what? Brain. So now I will draw the structure of human brain. Okay. So today we are going to see about human brain. So in the human brain, where it is located, where it is situated, which means inside the skull. In the head region, we have skull. Inside the skull, it is kept. Which one? Human brain. It is the skull which is giving very good protection because it is hard one. That's why it is giving good protection. The next one, the weight of human brain. 1,200 grams to 1,400 grams. Okay, the average human brain weight is 1,200 grams to 1,400 grams. So it is the weight of human brain. It is what is the function of human brain? Which means which doing many functions, mainly it is getting the message, that means receiving message, then think, then command. So it is doing several functions. Mainly their function is what? It detect what it is happened and it is interpret that, then giving command. Okay, we have so many functions. Mainly this is happen. So it is what? Command and control system. Command and control system. Which one? Brain. Brain, it is what? Command and control system, which control all the things and which is giving command also. Right. The next one, the brain is divided into two hemispheres, left and right hemisphere. Okay. Two hemispheres. Two hemispheres. One is left and another one is the right. Then another thing, hemispheres left and right. In the hemisphere there we have some folded. Here you see several folded are present. That upward growth is called as gyri and the groove is sulci. Okay. So here in the hemisphere, two hemisphere, right and left hemisphere, there we have several folded. That folded, one is upward growth, that is called as gyri. The groove, which means what? Slight cavity. So made pallam appdin solranga. Here the upward growth is gyri, made irukkuradhu. Groove, that means what? Konchu pallama irukkuradhu. It is called as what? Sulci. Okay, right. So in the hemisphere we have right and left, there we have several folded, that is called as gyri and sulci. Next, the function of brain. What? Which doing many functions. I will tell you. One is voluntary actions. Voluntary actions. The next, balance of the body. Balance of the body. The next, functions of vital involuntary organs. Which means heart, lungs, kidney, brine. Okay, right. Then next, thermoregulation. Thermoregulation, hunger, thirst, and circadian rhythms. Circadian rhythms. Circadian rhythms. So like that we have. So voluntary actions mean which is controlled by our brain. Example, walking, what we want to talk, that is also voluntary. Then opening and closing of our eyes. Sometimes there we have reflex action also. Okay, so these are the example for voluntary actions. Then balance of the body. We are standing in one position. Okay, that done by our brain. Because if there is no control of brain, we are not in balance. Okay, right. The next, functions of vital involuntary organs are functions which is not in our control. Which one? Heart, the kidney, the lungs, and that which is not in our control. So it is involuntary actions. Then thermoregulation, body temperature. The body temperature is constant. It is constant. 37 degrees Celsius. It is done by brain. And supporting organs also we have, that is skin. For thermoregulation we have skin also. But main control system is brain. Okay. Then hunger. Then thirst. When we have hunger, when we have thirsty, when we have hunger, it is maintained by our brain. Okay. The next, circadian rhythms. That means cycling process. In our body, 24 hours the cycling processes we have. One example is sleep and wake. That is one example for circadian rhythms. Because I think sometimes we are going to sleep, that is in the night. So it is one cycling process. Daily it is happen within 24 hours. So that is circadian rhythms. It is also controlled by what? Brain. The next, circadian rhythms. And next one, activities of endocrine glands. And next, human behavior and vision, hearing and speech, memory, intelligence, emotion and thoughts. So for these all the things our brain is responsible. Activities of endocrine glands. We have endocrine system, I think. In the endocrine system we have different kinds of endocrine glands. Example, pituitary gland, thyroid gland, thymus gland, pancreas, adrenal, testes, ovary. So we have several endocrine glands. That gland is controlled by our brain, because here only we have pituitary gland. It is master of endocrine gland. That gland regulates have several behaviors that controlled by our brain. Okay. Then next, vision, hearing, and next speech and memory, intelligence, emotion, several thoughts. For these all the things only is responsible. Who is responsible? The human brain. Okay. So these are all the functions of human brain. It is very important. Please note it down. These are all the functions. Okay. Then we are entered into the structure of brain. Now we have seen general things of brain, where it is located, what is the weight, what is the functions. Now we are entered into the structure of human brain. So inside the skull it is situated. The skull which is giving highly protection, as well as we have 3 layers just below the skull. Then above the brain we have 3 layers. The 3 layers which is covering the human brain. Okay. What it is called as? It is called as cranial meninges, which is called as what? Cranial meninges. Here cranial, which means skull, and we have meninges. Meninges that mean covering layers. So 3 meninges we have. One is durameter, then arachnoid mater and pyometer. Okay, durameter, arachnoid mater, pyometer. It is outer covering, it is middle one, it is inner. It is near with the brain. The durameter outer layer, the arachnoid is middle layer. Okay, the 3 layers giving protection to the brain. Skull which is giving what? Highly protection, as well as it is giving support. Okay, durameter, arachnoid mater, then pyometer. The next one, here the brain is divided into 3. One is forebrain and midbrain, then hindbrain. Brain which is divided into 3 main parts. One is forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain. In forebrain, what are the parts will be there? Which means cerebrum. So cerebrum, this part is known as cerebrum. Okay, that orange color. It is largest part of the brain. I mean biggest part of the brain is what? Cerebrum. The next one, thalamus and hypothalamus. Cerebrum, thalamus and hypothalamus, which is undercome the what? Cerebrum, forebrain. Okay. Then in hindbrain we have arms, medulla, pons, medulla and cerebellum. So these three which constitute hindbrain. In midbrain we have corpora quadrigemina, that is 4 lobes, that is we will see later. Okay, right. So first we will see about forebrain. It is main and it is the largest one. Note it down: cerebrum, thalamus, hypothalamus. Here hindbrain, pons, medulla and cerebellum. Medulla, otherwise known as medulla oblongata. Here first we will see about the cerebrum. Cerebral hemisphere. The next one, the hair cerebral hemisphere. We have 2 things. One is left and right. Then the cerebral hemisphere which is connected together by corpus callosum. Then the cerebral hemisphere covered by cerebral cortex. The cerebral cortex we have gray matter. The next one, there we have prominent fold, already I told. Prominent fold. Then right. So cerebrum, first one. Here the brain divided into 2 hemispheres. One is right hemisphere and another is the left hemisphere. Actually, it is what they are dividing. Okay, if you take one brain and cut it in the center, that means the view is here. I do that. Okay, in the center part, if you cut the brain, this like is present. Here, this is the cerebrum. It is right hemisphere and left hemisphere we have. So this is cerebral hemisphere. Then the cerebral hemisphere, 2 right and left, connected by one nerve sheet. That nerve sheet is corpus callosum. So nerve sheet is present, on that hemisphere is present. So the 2 hemisphere are connected by one sheet, nerve sheet, that is called as corpus callosum. The next, the cerebral hemisphere which is covered by one layer, that is cerebral cortex, the outer layer. Okay, in the brain we have outer layer which cover the hemispheres, that is called as cerebral cortex. Actually it is grayish in color, so that's why it is called as gray matter. The cerebral cortex is gray matter because it is grayish in color. Because non-myelinated sheath neuron, in neuron we have different types. We have myelinated neuron, non-myelinated neuron, unipolar, bipolar, multipolar. So based on the axon and the dendrites, we are dividing the neuron into 3 types. One is unipolar, bipolar and multipolar. But based on the myelin sheath, it is divided into 2. One is myelinated and non-myelinated. The myelin sheath is present, which means it is myelinated neuron. If myelin sheath not present, it is non-myelinated neuron. Here non-myelinated neuron is present, so that's why it is grayish in color. Their cell body is very concentration. The cell body, in the neuron cell body is present, that will be very concentrated, that's why it is gray in color. Then we have prominent fold. I told already, in the brain, that means in the cerebrum we have several fold. One is what? Upward fold, and another one groove. Okay, மேடு பள்ளம் அப்படினு சொல்லுவாங்க. மேடா இருக்கிற பகுதி வந்து கைரை, பள்ளமா இருக்கிற பகுதி வந்து சல்சை. Okay, that groove side is sulci, then the upward fold is gyre. So this is about cerebrum. What are the functions of cerebrum? Which means memory, intelligence, okay, then what different thoughts, that for that all the things it is only responsible. Which one? Cerebrum. Next, the prominent fold where we have, that is what? Gyre and sulci, and another one in the cortex area. In the cortex area, that means the cerebral cortex, which possess three area. One is sensory area, cortex, which possess what? Sensory area and motor area and associated area. Okay. So three areas are present in the cerebral cortex. Here the functions of sensory area, which receiving the impulses from the sensory organ. From the sensory organ, which receive the messages. Motor area, which sending the impulses, which mean messages to the effectors. Effector, that means what? The particular part. We have different muscles, so muscles we can say that. So motor area which sending the message to the muscles, which mean effectors. Here sensory organ, from the sensory organ it is receive the message. Here what is the function of associated area, which means intelligence, memory. Okay, so intelligence and memory, which is under the what? Associated area. Then learning also, which is under learning. So here associated area function is intelligence, memory and learning. So these are the functions of sensory area, motor area and associated area. Then after that we have thalamus and hypothalamus. Okay, here you see the cerebrum is connected by one nerve sheath, that is corpus callosum. Just below of that the thalamus is present, which means the cerebrum wraps the thalamus, which wraps the thalamus, that means which cover the thalamus. Thalamus function. Here the thalamus function is coordinate. Thalamus function which coordinate the coordination of motor and sensory signal. Okay, it is coordinating. Okay, if both of them sensory signals also coming, motor signals also want to give up, which coordinate by thalamus. So thalamus very important for the coordination. I think without the coordination we cannot do any work. Even one example we can say that muscles and bones, that we have coordination, then only we can move one place to another place. If suppose muscle not support to the bones, which means we cannot move. If suppose bones cannot support to the muscles, which means what happen? The functions it is not happen. So coordination is main. It is done by whom? The thalamus. The next one, hypothalamus. Just below of thalamus, hypothalamus are present. Hypothalamus. The hypothalamus function is which control the body temperature, and next one, neurosecretory cells are present here in the hypothalamus. Neurosecretory cells. That secretory cells which secrete the hormones. So it is called as hypothalamic hormones. Hormones mean, it is chemical which coordinate our body. It is chemical coordination. But here, I think in the brain we have neuron. It is doing the neural electrical coordination. Our body coordinated by electrical coordination and chemical coordination. The chemical coordination given by hormones. So the neurosecretory cells which secrete the hormone, it is called as hormones because it is from the hypothalamus. That's why it is called as hypothalamic hormones. The next one thing I have missed, that the human brain, which consists 2 billion neurons. 2 billion neurons. So nervous system made up of what? Neuron. The brain, spinal cord, nerves, all the one made up of what? Neuron. Neuron otherwise known as nerve cell. Neuron otherwise known as nerve cell. Okay, it is the function of thalamus and the hypothalamus. So thalamus doing coordination function. Coordination, what it is coordinate? Motor and sensory signal it is coordinate. Next one, hypothalamus is doing the function of body temperature, which regulate the body temperature. And then we have some cells, that is neurosecretory cells, that is secrete what? Hormones. That is hypothalamic hormones. Here inside the cerebral hemisphere we have some area, that means here in this area. Actually this line it is coming. Another one area is present. So 2 areas are present below of the hypothalamus. Below of the hypothalamus. It is inner part of the brain, most inner part of the brain. That name, one is amygdala, amygdala. One is amygdala. This part is amygdala. First part is amygdala. Second part is hippocampus. Amygdala and hippocampus. AMYGDALA and hippocampus HIPPOCAMPS. Okay, hippocampus. So three inner parts are present. Then apart from that, one inner part of canal is present. That inner part canal name is cerebral aqueduct. Cerebral aqueduct. That cerebrospinal fluid, you know, I think. Okay, that fluid is very important for protection. Here it is present in the cerebral aqueduct. Okay, right. So amygdala, hippocampus are present. It is the two area, the amygdala and hippocampus, both of them, it is known as limbic system. Here we will erase that. Amygdala, hippocampus. Okay, the two things are known. Limbic system. Limbic system. Limbic system and hypothalamus. It is doing, which is responsible for sexual behavior, and next one express of emotional and for some reactions. Okay, so the limbic system and hypothalamus, along with the hypothalamus and the limbic system, which involve in the sexual behavior and the expression of emotional and for some reactions. So it is the function of amygdala, hippocampus. When it is doing the function along with the hypothalamus, it is doing these functions. Okay, right. This is about the cerebrum. So in the cerebrum, you know, two hemispheres. The two hemispheres are connected by corpus callosum. Just below of the corpus callosum we have thalamus, hypothalamus. The inner part of the cerebrum we have amygdala and hippocampus. It is called as limbic system. The limbic system and hypothalamus doing one function, that is involved in the sexual behavior and express of emotional and reactions. Okay, I hope you all understood about the human brain. In the human brain, we have seen only the forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain we have. Next we will see about what? Midbrain.